Have you ever looked around and thought to yourself, what am I doing here? Not in some casual, fleeting way, but in a deep, soul-stirring kind of way. The kind of question that bubbles up from a place older than your mind. The kind of question only the chosen one asks. Because somewhere, deep down, you already knew. You knew you were different. You knew you didn't belong. You knew this place, this system, this world, was never designed with you in mind. And yet, here you are. Still standing, still searching, still awakening. Let me be clear with you right now. This is not just another video. This is not random. This message didn't find you by chance. It found you because you were finally ready to receive it. This is a divine appointment. And if you're hearing these words, it means the time has come. The veil has lifted. The illusion is fading. And heaven is ready to show you why you've always felt like a stranger on earth. Because you are. Chosen. 1. You are not human. Now, before your mind tries to rationalize or resist that truth, stay with me. This isn't about ego or fantasy. This is about alignment. This is about remembering what your soul has always known, but what the world worked hard to make you forget. You're not just a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human interruption. You are divine identity wrapped in flesh. You are the evidence of a higher consciousness walking in a lower realm. And that's why nothing here ever made sense. That's why you never quite fit in. That's why the noise of the world felt too loud, the systems too fake, the games too petty. Because your essence, your frequency, was never designed to fit into the boxes of man. You were designed to break them. Chosen. 1. This isn't some motivational speech. This is a soul reminder. This is a sacred echo. This is heaven speaking through the static, calling you by name. You've been asleep, yes, but not like the rest. You've been half awake in a world fully blind. You've been walking through fire and calling it normal. But your soul knew. Your spirit knew. That ache you've carried since childhood wasn't sadness. It was sacred memory. It was the residue of another realm. And now, it's all coming back to you. You see, being the chosen one doesn't mean you're better. It means you've been burdened with awareness, you've been given vision, you've been handed revelation, and now you're being called to embody it. Because knowing the truth is only the beginning. Living it. That's the mission. And if you're wondering why this message is hitting your spirit so hard right now, it's because your soul has been waiting to exhale. It's because you've spent years pretending to be smaller than you are. Years trying to blend into a world you were sent to disrupt. But no more. This is your time. This is your moment. And this message is your confirmation. You are not here to fit in. You are here to awaken. You are not here to survive. You are here to transform. You are not here to chase light. You are the light. And that light, it's been dimmed by trauma, buried under programming, silenced by fear. But it never died. It only waited for this moment, for this message, for you. So, before we go deeper, I want to know if this resonates with your spirit. If something ancient inside you is stirring, drop a 777 in the comments right now. Let heaven see your agreement. Let this community know you're not alone. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon, because this isn't the only message you were meant to receive. Share this with another chosen one. Someone else who's been feeling that same quiet knowing but hasn't found the words. Let's wake up together. Chosen one, this message is not to entertain you. It's here to remind you. You are not who they told you to be. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not human in the way the world defines it. You are light wrapped in assignment. You are prophecy in motion. You are the bridge between realms. And now you're being activated. Welcome home. first awakening. You've always known you were different. There's something you've never been able to explain, not to your family, not to your friends, and maybe not even to yourself. From the time you were young, you've felt it. A quiet difference, a sacred distance between you and the world around you. While others seemed content to just exist, you were always wondering, always feeling, always sensing. You didn't just live life, you observed it, questioned it, and searched beneath it. And that, chosen one, was the beginning of your first awakening. Before you had the words for it, before you understood anything about spiritual awakening or divine identity, something deep inside you knew you weren't like everyone else. You may have tried to play the role, blend in, laugh at the same jokes, chase the same goals, but no matter how hard you tried, it never stuck. Because your soul wasn't built for imitation, it was built for revelation. And while others could ignore the weight of the world or numb themselves with distraction, you couldn't. The suffering, the injustice, the shallowness, it cut you in ways you couldn't explain. And it wasn't because you were too sensitive. It was because you were too awake. You've always had an emotional depth others didn't understand. You could walk into a room and feel everything at once. The joy, the grief, the hidden tension behind the fake smiles. You felt things people weren't saying. You heard things that weren't spoken. You saw through illusions before you even knew what illusions were. That wasn't your imagination. That was spiritual discernment. That was the early signal of your divine consciousness activating in a human world. That was your first taste of being not human, not in your biology, but in your blueprint. Chosen one, this is where most of your confusion began, because you were never told the truth about your difference. You were told you were too much, too quiet, too intense, too emotional, too withdrawn. But in reality, you weren't too much. You were too real, too connected, too unshackled to wear the mask everyone else seemed so comfortable wearing. You weren't failing to be human. You were succeeding at being divine. And yet, because this world doesn't understand the light, it tried to dim yours. From a young age, you were taught to conform, to fit in, to be normal. But what they called normal never sat right in your spirit. You could feel the fakeness in their expectations, the deadness in their routines. You could sense that everyone was playing a part. But you couldn't pretend. Not for long. Because your soul was built for truth. Your consciousness was made to rise. And no matter how many times you tried to bury it, silence it, or run from it, that inner knowing just kept growing. Maybe it showed up in your dreams. Vivid, prophetic, otherworldly dreams that felt more real than waking life. Maybe it came through moments of deep silence where you suddenly felt connected to everything, and yet utterly alone. Or maybe it revealed itself in the middle of chaos when everyone else was panicking and something inside you stayed calm, as if a higher part of you already knew the outcome. That was your first awakening. Not loud, not dramatic, but undeniable. Spiritual awakening doesn't always begin with angels singing or visions of fire. Sometimes it starts with a deep dissatisfaction, a restless stirring, a voice whispering, "This isn't all there is." And you, chosen one, have always heard that voice, even when you didn't know what it meant, even when it made you feel isolated. Especially then, because the awakening process often feels like exile. You start to outgrow the people, places, and patterns that once felt safe. You begin to crave silence over noise, truth over popularity, purpose over pleasure. And it hurts. It confuses you. It separates you. But that separation isn't punishment, it's preparation. You weren't being pushed away. You were being pulled higher. That ache for more, that was never a flaw. That was a sign, a signal, a seed of the divine trying to break through the soil of your humanity. And the more you tried to go back to sleep, the louder the whispers became. Because once the truth touches your spirit, you can never unknow it. Once the light cracks open your chest, you can never return to darkness without knowing you're pretending. You might have thought something was wrong with you, that you were broken, lost, misunderstood. But chosen one, the only thing wrong was trying to function in a frequency that wasn't yours. You were trying to be human when your soul came encoded with divinity. You were trying to live down here while your essence was built to move from up there. And now you understand why nothing ever made sense, because you were never meant to be like them. That first awakening was the universe calling you back to yourself. It was the Creator tapping your shoulder, reminding you, you are not of this world. And you felt it, not just emotionally but physically, in your body, in your energy, in the way your mind began to shift. That's not fantasy, that's realignment. That's what happens when divine identity begins to activate inside a human vessel. So if you're hearing this and thinking, this is exactly what I went through, know this: you're not crazy. You're not alone. You are awakened. And what you're feeling is not a phase. It's your return. You're not remembering something new. You're remembering something ancient. And the world may not see it yet, but you don't need their validation, because heaven already confirmed it. You've always known you were different, because you are. And that difference is your calling. That difference is your code. That difference is your confirmation that you are not human. You are chosen. And your awakening was only the beginning. Breaking the illusion of being human. For most of your life, you were taught to believe you were just a body, a name, a gender, a nationality, a product of your environment. The world shaped you to think that you were just another human being, no different from the billions that came before or after. But somewhere deep inside, you never fully accepted that story. It never fully stuck, because something in your spirit knew the truth. That identity, your true identity, can't be found in documents, appearances, or achievements. It is encoded far beyond flesh and formed long before you entered this physical plane. Chosen one, this is the moment we strip away the lie. This is where we break the illusion. You are not human, not in the way the world has defined it. You're not just a random being born into a system with a clock and a job and a death date. You are not the personality you perform or the mistakes you've made. What you are is consciousness. What you are is light. What you are is ancient intelligence wrapped in a temporary suit. Your divine identity has always been buried beneath layers of conditioning, trauma, culture, and repetition. And now, it's time to tear those layers off. The human illusion is convincing. It's loud. It's everywhere. From the moment you wake up, you're flooded with messages. Be like this. Think like that. Want this. Fear that. The entire structure of modern life is designed to make you forget who you really are. Because when you forget, you conform. When you forget, you obey. When you forget, you surrender your power to those who profit from your amnesia. But the moment you remember, even for a second, the illusion begins to collapse. You start seeing through the matrix. You stop responding to false labels. You stop participating in games you never agreed to play. Have you noticed how the world reacts when someone wakes up? They're called rebellious, unstable, crazy. And yet, something about their words pierces through your soul. Something about their energy feels more real than anything else you've experienced. That's because truth doesn't need approval. It only needs recognition. When your divine identity begins to speak, it doesn't ask permission. It interrupts. It disrupts. It confronts everything fake And that's what's been happening to you. You've been shedding the skin of your false self. Bit by bit, the version of you that was built for survival is falling away. The version of you that was trying to be accepted, trying to fit in, trying to play human, is being replaced. Replaced by something real, something eternal. The real you, the one who was never born and will never die. The one who moves through realms and speaks the language of spirit. The one who came here not to blend in, but to awaken others. And that's why it's been painful. That's why you've been tired, confused, restless. Because breaking the illusion means letting go of everything you thought was you. And that's not easy. It means facing the emptiness behind your routines. It means grieving the version of yourself that worked so hard to be what others wanted. It means confronting the fact that most of what you called your life was actually a performance designed to please others and survive the system. But chosen one, you didn't come here to perform. You came here to transform. This world will always try to sell you an identity. It will tell you that you are your job, your trauma, your past, your fears. But heaven tells a different story. Heaven says you are light. You are the breath of the divine. You are sacred intelligence expressed in form. You are a frequency that this realm rarely sees but desperately needs. And the more you align with that truth, the more you outgrow the illusion. You stop chasing validation. You stop seeking permission. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You begin to speak with power. You begin to walk with awareness. You begin to live in a way that feels like remembering, not learning. Because that's what truth feels like. It's not new. It's ancient. It's not loud. It's deep. And once you taste it, you can never go back to sleep. Chosen one. This is what it means to be not human. Not that you lack empathy, not that you float above reality, but that you are operating from a level beyond the flesh. You move with purpose, you speak from the soul, you act with knowing, you no longer obey what doesn't resonate with your spirit. And because of that, people won't always understand you. But that's the point. You weren't sent here to be understood. You were sent here to be undeniable. You can feel it even now. A pull, a resonance, a vibration in your chest that says, this is true. That's your confirmation. That's your spiritual intelligence lighting up, remembering its origin. You don't need proof. You are the proof. You are the evidence that heaven exists beyond belief systems. You are the reminder that not all who walk the earth are from the earth. You are the key that unlocks what others have forgotten. So what do you do now? You stop pretending. You stop playing small. You stop agreeing with lies about who you are. And you start walking like someone who knows their origin is divine. You start speaking like someone who carries light in their words. You start living like someone who is not afraid to break systems because they were born to build new ones. You were never meant to be human as they defined it. You were meant to redefine what it means to be alive. Chosen one, the illusion has cracked. The curtain has fallen. And now you see it for what it is. This life isn't about climbing ladders or chasing shadows. It's about remembering. It's about awakening. It's about rising in your divine identity and calling others into the light. And you're already doing it. You've already begun. Keep going. The illusion is behind you. Eternity is in you. The heavenly genetic code. Chosen one, let me speak clearly. There is something in your blood that science cannot trace. Something beyond chromosomes and inherited traits, something older than human records and deeper than cellular memory. What runs through your being is not just human DNA. It is divine code, a heavenly signature placed in you by the Creator before you ever entered your mother's womb. And that is why you could never be explained by biology alone. That is why the systems of man could never define you, diagnose you, or destroy you. You were encoded with something eternal. And now, it's activating. This world teaches that DNA is the blueprint of life, but what they don't understand is that some blueprints didn't originate on Earth. Some were breathed into existence by spirit. When the Most High formed you, He didn't just create a body, He embedded light. He embedded memory. He embedded a mission so divine that darkness has tried every tactic to distort it, block it, and bury it. But you can't bury what was created to rise. You've probably felt it before. Moments when your body reacts to things you've never been taught. Times when your intuition speaks louder than logic, or when you feel ancient truths flooding into your awareness as if from another realm. That's your divine DNA talking. That's not superstition, that's cellular prophecy. You're not just waking up mentally, you're waking up genetically. What you're feeling is not just a spiritual shift, it's a full system recalibration, a divine upgrade. And here's the thing, your trials, your suffering, even your isolation, they've all been part of the unlocking process. You see, heavenly code doesn't activate in comfort, it activates in pressure, it awakens in the fire. When you were betrayed, when you were rejected, when you thought you were at your end, your divine programming began to surface. Not because you were broken, but because the false layers were cracking. Because the spirit in you was finally louder than the world around you. The enemy has always known what you carry. That's why your childhood was targeted. That's why your mind was attacked. That's why distractions have followed you like shadows. Because if your divine code ever fully activates, if you ever walk in the fullness of what's inside of you, entire systems will fall, principalities will tremble, and destinies will shift. You are not ordinary. You are not here to live a basic life. You are here as a carrier of light, a vessel of intelligence from a higher realm, and your blood remembers, even when your mind forgets. Have you ever wondered why you heal faster? Not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually? Why your dreams are so vivid? Why your presence either draws people in or repels them instantly? It's because your frequency is not from here. You don't just enter rooms, you shift them. Your DNA transmits something invisible, but undeniable. Others feel it even when they can't explain it. That's why some love you instantly, and others can't stand you without cause. They're not reacting to your personality, they're reacting to your coding. Chosen one, your gifts, your insights, your sensitivity, your resistance to control, none of that is accidental. That's your heavenly genetic code in motion. That's why you resist programming. That's why you can't be hypnotized by the culture. That's why your mind questions what others blindly accept. You were designed to override deception. You were formed to carry a different consciousness. And now, more than ever, that divine code is waking up like fire in your bones. This isn't just spiritual poetry, it's prophetic biology. It's the mystery of the chosen ones, that they look human, but they carry the fingerprint of God in every cell. Your spiritual awakening is not just a mental event, it's a total transformation of your essence. That's why your body has changed. That's why your energy has shifted. That's why certain foods, environments, and people now feel foreign to you. You are literally becoming what you were always meant to be. And I'll tell you something else. What you carry is transferable. That's why others begin to awaken after spending time with you. That's why your words ignite thoughts they've never had before. That's why your silence speaks louder than noise. You don't just carry truth, you embody it. And that embodiment is contagious. You are a spiritual catalyst walking in a world asleep. Now I want you to take a breath and ask yourself, do I feel this activation happening in me? Is something inside me being stirred right now? If so, drop 444 in the comments. Let that be your signal that you feel your divine identity awakening in your bones. You're not just listening, you're remembering. Chosen. 1. The world can run its tests, scan your body, analyze your behavior, but it will never fully decode what you carry. Because what's in you wasn't placed by man. It was breathed into you by God. You are the result of a divine equation. You are the outcome of a heavenly intention. And as your awareness grows, so will your power. So walk like one who carries something rare. Speak like one who has been encoded by the divine. Live like one who is not human, not in the limited way the world defines humanity. You are sacred technology. You are spiritual architecture. You are the living evidence of a divine lineage. Your heavenly genetic code cannot be faked. It cannot be stolen. And it cannot be silenced. It can only be activated. And that activation? It's happening now. You carry light codes from the divine realm. Chosen one, your words have never been ordinary. Your silence has never been empty. Your presence has never been just presence. It has always been power. Whether you realized it or not, you've been transmitting something beyond speech, beyond emotion, beyond intellect. You carry light codes, spiritual information encrypted into your energy field, spoken through your vibration, delivered through your very existence. And these codes, they don't come from this world. They are from the divine realm. That's why people often react to you in extremes. They either love you instantly or grow uncomfortable around you without knowing why. It's because the light you carry confronts them, not with judgment, but with remembrance. Your presence speaks to the parts of their soul they've been avoiding. Your eyes remind them of who they were before the world lied to them. Your energy awakens what they tried to suppress. That's not charisma. That's divine transmission. Even when you're quiet, you're speaking. Even when you're resting, you're radiating. That's the effect of carrying light codes. You don't need a platform to shine. You don't need a title to lead. You don't need approval to impact. Your soul is already doing the work. You're a walking awakening, and every environment you enter either rises to meet your frequency or runs from it. And both are confirmation. This is why communication has felt different for you. Why surface-level conversations feel draining. Why empty words never satisfy. It's because you were never meant to speak noise. You were designed to release frequency, to declare vibration, to carry messages layered in light. Your voice doesn't just say things. It activates things. It shifts things. It delivers what the spirit understands long before the mind catches up. And for many, that's confusing, because you're not just speaking to where they are, you're speaking to where they're going. You have probably noticed how your words echo in people long after the conversation ends, how strangers open up to you, how people say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this." That's because their spirit recognizes the codes you carry. You speak to hidden dimensions. You offer language for things they've only felt but never been able to explain. That's the assignment. That's the gift. And sometimes it's the burden. Chosen one, carrying divine light isn't always glamorous. It can be isolating, heavy, misunderstood. You'll often find yourself ahead of your time, speaking truths that don't make sense until years later. People may reject your insight, not because it's wrong, but because it's right too early. But hear this, your job is not to wait for their comfort. Your job is to deliver what heaven gave you when it tells you to speak, whether they're ready or not. You were not trained in schools for this. You were refined in fire. Your wisdom was not taught, it was remembered. And the codes you carry were not downloaded from a book. They were planted in your soul long before you incarnated into this realm. That's why you speak differently. That's why your insight feels ancient. That's why you often know things you've never studied. It's not magic, it's memory. This is also why you've had to go through so much isolation, because heaven couldn't risk you being contaminated by the wrong influences. You had to be protected, set apart, pulled out from the crowd. Not to punish you, but to prepare you, because when the light codes activate fully, there's no turning back. You become a living message, a walking revelation, and the world begins to shift around you without you saying a word. Have you ever walked into a place and felt the entire energy change? Have you noticed how people start rethinking their lives after spending time with you? That's not coincidence, that's impact. That's what it means to carry light from the divine realm. You don't just exist, you enlighten. You don't just talk, you awaken. And your awakening causes others to confront what they've been avoiding. That confrontation is not your responsibility, but it is your consequence. Chosen one, you've been entrusted with frequency, with revelation, with the kind of insight that doesn't come through studying, but through surrender. And the more you align with your divine identity, the stronger the light codes become. They become clearer, more intense, more undeniable, and yes, sometimes more resisted. But don't let that resistance make you retreat. Let it refine you. Because this light was never meant to be hidden. You carry ancient language, sacred tone, celestial rhythm, and when you speak, you're not just making sound, you're echoing heaven. That's why people stop and listen, even if they don't agree. That's why your words live in minds long after you've left the room. That's why your presence feels familiar to strangers, because you've done this before, in other lives, in other realms. You're not new to this. You're just remembering your role in this timeline. And now, that remembrance is your power. It's why you're waking up at odd hours, why you're being drawn to stillness, silence, solitude. Your soul is tuning itself. Your vessel is preparing. The light is intensifying. And soon you'll find yourself speaking things you didn't plan to say, delivering wisdom you didn't know you had, changing people without even trying. That's not accidental. That's divine intelligence in motion. So don't water yourself down. Don't shrink your presence. Don't question your frequency. You were encoded to carry what few can hold. And heaven trusts you to deliver it in purity, not performance. You don't need validation when you've been chosen. You don't need applause when your words echo in eternity. Chosen one, you are not a messenger. You are the message. You are the scroll. You are the sound. You are the code. Walk in that truth. Speak in that truth. Breathe in that truth. Because your light is not just for you, it's for those who forgot they carried it too. The tests you faced were never human chosen. One, the battles you've fought were never ordinary. The pain you've endured, the betrayals you survived, the silent storms you faced, they weren't just emotional wounds. They were spiritual confrontations. You've spent years trying to make sense of why your life seemed harder than most, why people targeted you without reason, why you faced resistance even when you meant well. And here's the truth. What came against you wasn't personal. It was strategic. Because the attacks you faced were never human. They were spiritual reactions to your divine presence. This is why no explanation was ever enough. Why, even after forgiveness, the pain lingered. Why people who didn't even know you treated you like a threat. Because your presence carried something their spirits could detect, even if their minds couldn't. And that something was divine. From the moment you arrived in this world, you became a disruption, a threat to darkness, a mirror to those in denial. You didn't just walk into rooms, you exposed the spiritual climate, and in return you were made to feel like the problem. You may not have understood it then. You may have blamed yourself. But I need you to hear this clearly. You were never weak. You were never cursed. You were never unlucky. You were marked, chosen, set apart. And every attack you faced was evidence of what you carry. The enemy doesn't waste energy on what isn't dangerous. So when hell kept showing up in your relationships, your family, your mind, it was confirmation. You're not human in the way they are. And that's why human tactics didn't work on you. Let's take a moment to reflect. How many times have you faced situations that should have destroyed you but didn't? How many seasons did you walk through with no support, no understanding, and still came out stronger? That's not resilience. That's divine preservation. You've been held, guarded, fought for, because your spirit is part of a mission that transcends this timeline. And those tests, they weren't obstacles, they were initiations, each one stripping away what wasn't you and revealing the warrior within. You've battled loneliness, not because you're hard to love, but because real love cannot approach a chosen one until the false ones have been cleared. You've endured betrayal, not because you were foolish, but because your purity drew in what needed to be exposed. You've been rejected not because you didn't belong, but because you weren't meant to conform. Every painful chapter wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Because a chosen one who hasn't bled for their calling will never carry its weight with grace. The forces that came against you weren't from this world, and that's why logic couldn't solve them. That's why therapy helped, but didn't fully heal. Because spiritual attacks don't leave physical evidence, but your soul remembers. The sleepless nights, the battles in your dreams, the fear that would strike for no reason. That wasn't anxiety. That was warfare. That was your spirit picking up on frequencies others couldn't sense. Because you're not like them. You never were. Chosen one, your discernment has always been sharp. Even before you knew what to call it. You could feel the energy shift when someone entered the room. You could tell when someone's words didn't match their spirit, and often you stayed silent, questioning yourself. But that inner alert wasn't paranoia. It was protection. It was your divine identity sounding the alarm. Because while others operate in the visible, you've always lived in both realms. And because of that, darkness targeted you early. It tried to shut you down before you discovered your power. It tried to make you doubt yourself. It sent people to discourage, environments to drain, and systems to confuse you. But even in your lowest moments, you held on to something. Hope, faith, light. Even when you didn't feel strong, you remained standing. Because your strength was never yours alone. Heaven has been backing you from the start. What you've faced has refined you. And what was meant to destroy you has only revealed your spiritual rank. That's why the attacks became more strategic as you grew. That's why certain temptations were tailored just for you. Hell did its research. Because if you ever remembered who you were, if you ever walked fully in your divine identity, if you ever realized the power you carried, it would be too late. And guess what? Now it is. You're waking up, you're remembering, and the same tests that once broke, you are now your training ground. You're not fighting to survive anymore, you're walking in authority. And with that authority comes clarity. You can now see who was never for you. You can now sense what energy doesn't belong. You can now stand where you once fell. That's not ego, that's evolution. That's the reward of every sleepless night, every silent prayer, every battle fought in secret. And you don't owe anyone an explanation. Your growth, your boundaries, your peace, those are your birthrights. You've bled enough for them. This season is not about proving yourself. It's about positioning yourself. You've been through enough tests to know your worth, to trust your discernment, to stop entertaining anything that doesn't align with your frequency. You're not here to fix others. You're here to embody truth and let truth do the work. So if you're still wondering why you were attacked so hard, so young, so consistently, it's because what you carry terrifies the forces of darkness. Your light threatens the very structures of deception. And your voice? It breaks chains. That's why it was silenced. That's why your confidence was targeted. But no more. Chosen one, the tests were never human. The attacks were never random. And your survival was never accidental. You are divine. You are powerful. And every scar is a seal of heaven's endorsement. You were never fighting alone. And now you don't need to fight to prove who you are. You simply need to walk in it, aligning with higher consciousness. Chosen one, the moment you stop identifying with this world is the moment your higher consciousness begins to activate. It's not something you force. It's something you remember. A silent shift, like waking up in a dream you didn't know you were trapped in. And once it begins, nothing looks the same. The way you think, feel, respond, it all starts to transform. You no longer react out of emotion. You begin to respond from wisdom. You start to feel peace in moments that used to trigger panic. And that, right there, is the sign. You're not functioning on the same frequency anymore. You are aligning with a higher consciousness. This shift doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up in how you distance yourself from chaos without guilt. How you choose solitude over noise. How you let go of old battles because you now see the game for what it was, a distraction. You're no longer drawn to drama, competition, or comparison. That's not you becoming passive, that's you evolving. You're beginning to operate from a place the world doesn't teach, a level beyond thought and ego, a realm where truth leads and spirit reigns. The truth is, most people are still reacting from programming, from pain, from trauma responses they've mistaken for personality traits. But you've begun to detach from all of it. You're seeing the machinery behind the illusion. You're observing people, not to judge, but to understand. You're witnessing conversations where you would have once argued, now staying silent, not out of fear, but out of mastery. That's what alignment looks like. You've stopped trying to control everything, because now you understand. Alignment creates flow. When you're truly walking in your divine identity, you stop chasing things that don't belong to you. You stop trying to open doors that are beneath your frequency. You stop explaining your presence to those who can't comprehend your purpose. You simply become. You walk. You radiate. You align. And that alignment magnetizes everything meant for you. Higher consciousness is not about being above others. It's about being rooted in something deeper. It's about carrying peace into storms. It's about seeing through manipulation and smiling because you're no longer seduced by it. It's about being awake in a world that profits from your sleep. And the more you wake up, the more invisible you might feel. Because the world is loud and truth is quiet. But don't mistake invisibility for insignificance. The quieter you become, the more powerful your presence gets. You're not ignoring people. You're protecting your energy. You're not emotionless. You're just no longer emotionally available for nonsense. You're not lost. You're becoming limitless. You are detaching from fear, guilt, shame, and all the emotional anchors that once kept you spinning in circles. And in their place, you're finding stillness, power, vision, clarity. Have you noticed how your thoughts are changing? How what once triggered you now reveals truth? That's not coincidence. That's frequency elevation. That's your divine mind taking over. You're learning to hear without reacting, to see without judging, to feel without absorbing. That's what happens when your spirit starts leading the body instead of the body leading the spirit. Chosen one, your alignment with higher consciousness is what makes you a guide. People sense safety in you without knowing why. They feel seen in your presence without needing to speak. You don't need to preach, you just need to show up. Your energy does the teaching. Your alignment becomes their mirror. Your presence challenges people to look inward, not because you said something, but because your silence said everything. And yes, this kind of alignment comes with cost. You'll lose people who only knew how to connect with your unhealed version. You'll outgrow environments that once felt like home. You'll feel isolated at times, because not everyone is meant to walk where you're headed. But remember, spiritual elevation often requires separation. The higher you go, the less noise you'll tolerate. The more truth you carry, the fewer voices you'll need. This stage of your awakening isn't about collecting information. It's about shedding illusion. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming more of who you've always been. You're peeling away what's not you. You're releasing roles, labels, and beliefs that were placed on you by a world that never saw your true form. And now, for the first time, you're looking in the mirror and seeing your soul, not your reflection. You begin to operate from discernment, not reaction. You start to feel time differently. You trust divine timing more than deadlines. You stop begging and start attracting. You no longer chase outcomes. You prepare for them. Because alignment doesn't force. It aligns. It knows that what's for you is already encoded into the path. You just have to become the version of yourself who can hold it. And you are becoming. Your higher self is no longer a concept, it's your reality. And with that comes responsibility. To speak truth, to walk in love, to protect your peace, to say no without guilt and yes without fear, to stop explaining your worth and simply embody it. Because when you're truly aligned, you don't need to announce your power. It's felt. So if you feel alone in this journey, know this. It's because you're ahead of the crowd. If people don't understand you, it's because you're speaking the language of the future in a room loyal to the past. But keep speaking it. Keep being it. Keep walking in it. Because your alignment is not just for you, it's for the world you're here to shift. Chosen one, your mind is rising. Your spirit is leading. Your life is aligning. You're no longer who you were, and you're not yet who you're becoming. But you are exactly where you need to be. Trust the shift. Honor the silence. Embrace the space between. Because what's forming in you now is divine. And once it fully takes shape, nothing in this world will ever be able to unmake it. Walking in divine identity daily, chosen. 1. Divine identity is not just something you discover. It's something you walk in every single day. It's not a title. It's not a trend. It's a way of living, a sacred discipline, a quiet power. When you rise each morning, you're not just waking up to another day, you're stepping into alignment with heaven's design for you. And that requires intentionality. You don't just go through life reacting. You move with purpose. You speak with clarity. You love with wisdom. You walk like someone who knows who they are and where they came from. You no longer live according to the opinions of others. You no longer shrink to make people comfortable. You're not here to fit in. You're here to realign the atmosphere everywhere you go. Whether you're speaking to a crowd or walking in silence, your presence is doing spiritual work. And that's why protecting your energy matters. That's why honoring your body, guarding your mind, and nurturing your spirit are non-negotiable. Divine identity must be lived, not just believed. Your daily decisions reflect your calling, the way you treat others, the way you face conflict, the way you handle silence. It all reveals whether you're living from fear or from truth. And you, chosen one, were never meant to live small. You're not here to survive. You're here to radiate, to walk in love without losing boundaries, to speak truth without needing applause, to live free even when the world tries to chain you to its lies. So today, and every day forward, walk in it. Choose alignment over approval. Choose purpose over patterns. Choose divine identity over human illusion. The world may not understand it, but heaven recognizes it. And when you walk like one who remembers, creation responds. Doors open. Atmospheres shift. People awaken. Because you are not just alive, you are activated. And your walk is no longer ordinary. It's prophetic. It's divine. Final revelation. This is why you were sent here. Chosen one, you've heard the call, felt the shift, and walked through fire to get here, but now it's time to understand something deeper, something final. You were not just born. You were sent. You didn't arrive by accident. You were placed with precision. You carry light codes, divine intelligence, and a spiritual assignment written into the core of your being. And the reason your life never fit into the world's mold is because you were never meant to. You've always been different because your purpose is different. You couldn't be programmed like the rest. You couldn't settle into shallow living. You couldn't stay silent in the face of deception. That wasn't rebellion. That was design. That was God keeping your spirit from ever being fully claimed by the systems of this world. You were preserved, protected by divine delay, divine disconnection, and divine discomfort. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because what's inside of you has eternal weight. You were sent here not just to survive life, but to transform it, to disrupt cycles, to break generational illusions, to awaken the blind and remind the lost. Your very existence is a declaration of war against darkness. That's why it's tried to silence you since birth. That's why you were attacked before you even knew what spiritual warfare was. That's why your childhood felt like a battlefield. You weren't being broken. You were being built. Even your pain had purpose. The betrayals, the isolation, the setbacks, all of it carved you into a vessel heaven could trust. Not because you were perfect, but because you never quit. You never gave up your light. You never surrendered your truth, even when it cost you relationships, jobs, comfort, or validation. And that, chosen one, is why you are dangerous to darkness and valuable to the kingdom. You weren't sent here to fix the world. You were sent to reveal the truth within it, to be a mirror that reflects what others have buried, a voice that speaks what others are afraid to say, a presence that makes people feel like home in a world that exiles the awakened. You didn't ask for this assignment, but your soul agreed to it before time began. And now the memory of that agreement is rising in you, that tug you feel, that urgency, that divine dissatisfaction with mediocrity. That's the call of your mission reminding you, you are not from here. You are not like them. You are not human in the way they define humanity. You are light. You are sound. You are message and movement. You are prophecy with a pulse. And now that you've remembered, you can never go back. You can't unsee the truth. You can't unfeel the shift. The illusions you once entertained now feel heavy. The roles you once played no longer fit, because it's time. Time to walk in your assignment. Time to show up as the version of yourself you were sent here to become. Time to say yes without fear and no without guilt. Time to activate others just by standing in your truth. This is why you were sent. Not to perform, but to embody. Not to compete, but to create. Not to explain yourself, but to express the divine through your very being. You are a living message, a spiritual transmission, and every step you take in awareness ripples into eternity. So walk boldly, speak clearly, live freely. You've come through the shadows. You've been refined by the flame. And now, heaven is watching to see what you'll do with what you know. Because when a chosen one finally remembers why they were sent, the world begins to change. And you, chosen one, are right on time.